obviously implementers getting placed on the Rajasthan border made no sense at all. And so I had to go and dig into what was happening, which then told me stories about transcontinental migration of poor people from Bangladesh because of an ecological crisis that was unfolding in Bangladesh, moving people across the entire subcontinent all the way into the Middle East, and then getting caught in the crossfire of the policy. Doing all of this stuff, finally I ended up in Telangana as a journalist again, and there I had to do a lot of work. Lincoln was just reminding me of what I was doing at that time. We were trying to figure out why people were getting killed all over Telangana and in a number of districts as a result of some kind of an atmosphere between two forces that they didn't fully understand, the police and the Maoists. So we did that work for several areas. And then at that point of time, I felt the need to withdraw from what was happening in our cities, and I went and did a PhD in geography. So when I landed up in Hyderabad at something like 42, 43 years of age and decided that I had to do something in the city that I loved and I hated. And so I set up something called Hyderabad Urban Lab. Hyderabad Urban Lab is one of many institutions of that kind which are basically set up by people who have a very deep relationship with the cities in which they live. There's a lot that we love, a lot that we care about these cities, but there's also a lot that we hate about these cities. Fundamentally wrong with these cities. So, what does all this have to do with care and repair as an urban area? One of the things that I've been involved in, one of the many things that I've been involved in all through my work, was housing. Now, we keep fighting about housing rights in cities and so on and so forth. And we keep fighting about land rights, tenure rights, we keep fighting about delivery of actual health housing and so on and so forth. There are two, three very simple things that we all have to recognize. Number one, the Constitution of India does not exactly pin it on anyone, that is the state government or central government or local body, to build houses. Housing is nobody's game. Land is, finance is, housing is not. Therefore, housing always falls through cracks. Housing is always delivered through schemes. It's never delivered as a matter of right to anyone in this country. It's the first issue. Once you have that very fundamental problem, and then you start making calculations on what happens with housing, many strange, bizarre things begin to happen. By late 60s, we had gone through several iterations of planning processes in this country where we made calculations on how many family units are there in this country and how many actual houses are available and what is the capital to do of them. And the government very piously promises that they will put up money to build the capital. And it always fails. Happens to plan one, plan two, plan three. They're not able to ever deliver the housing shortage that they identify. Then what do? In the late 60s, something very fantastic comes, very handy, because of an architect who goes to Peru, Chile, studies poor people and how they build their houses, comes back and says that, look, these guys are actually doing something very interesting. Poor people know how to build their houses. We shouldn't be giving them houses. We should just help them build their own homes. We should give them sites, services, let them build it slowly over a period of time. That leads to what we now call incremental housing or proper construction. That is low capacity. Right? That led to huge amounts of financing that came into our cities all across South Asia, all across Indian cities, through schemes that essentially said that you can stay here, you're not going to go there. If possible, we'll give you some money, so you build your house. We'll give you that money in installments. Right? A lot of innovation happened through that process. This was also the time when the market was not really able to deliver big housing. So you have a lot of middle class, lower middle class families who are saving up money to build their own homes. one bedroom house, two bedroom house, three bedroom houses, and so on and so forth. So you have a city, you have cities, towns across the country which are full of self-built houses. Adequate, inadequate, they're almost like houses in which snakes live, right? You build the house around yourself, according to your needs. You keep expanding it, you keep breaking it, you put one balcony a little more ahead. You go to any town in the city, in this country, you go to any village in this city, you will see this process happen. Right? All the larger villages in Delhi, you will see. The awning, the balcony keeps expanding into airspace, 2 meter, 3 meter, right? That's how they build it. You build as much as you need. You have in Hyderabad people who build 40 square yards piece of land, one tiny house. Somebody from the family manages to go to the release, sends money back from there, comes back and then says that I want my own. So, put it above in there. You get a new daughter-in-law into the house, the daughter-in-law and the previous daughter-in-law do not get along. You need to build one more. You need one kid in whom everybody is invested. ये बच्चा अगर पढ़ के आगे निकल जाएगा तो बहुत कुछ हो जाएगा, तो उसके लिए एक छोटा सा कमरा बना के देंगे। एक लड़का होगा जिसको थोड़ा सा नौकरी मिलेगा, पैसे मिलेंगे। You want the room upstairs where he can go and smoke cigarettes. This is how our houses are made, right? Huge number. This law has now been completed. In the middle of the 90s, they stopped doing this thing of supporting any housing that is built by people of their own. Because what we have done is this very funny thing. There's a 60s था, हमने कहा the state will deliver the housing. It is now given to state, the market will deliver the housing. We know, evidence tells you every year, year after year, that the market will not deliver housing to certain segments at all. It cannot. Right? But we still don't acknowledge that because it somehow doesn't work for the contractor system that is invested in building new houses. What happens is this: you have entire school of architecture from where graduates come out who do not know how to repair anything. They do not know how to build one extra room in an existing room. It's too small for them. It's something that they don't even know how to do. Right? That work is being done in the restaurant. It is never done like that. So you have literally thousands of architects, tens of thousands of architecture graduates coming out every year in this country who do not know how to repair things. Right? This issue of us not knowing formally, policy-wise, how to repair things is a big issue. I'm saying that it's an ethical question because in the absence of state support for repair, for extending the house, essentially what happens is that there is no money available for this. And don't give the rules. If you're extending your house, right, where are you going to get the money from? And if you recognize that 70-80% of our cities, which have literally ingrown onto themselves to expand housing opportunities for people, you realize how risky it is. It's enormously risky because what you're doing is putting more and more and more people in housing units in one building, which has to deal with the sewage problem, which has to deal with the water problem. And if you cannot figure out how to make the public investment into that, you're going to have year after year, in the summer, in the monsoon, bacterial contamination of the drinking water. Right? 2009 is where Hyderabad labs work in Hyderabad actually started. 2009, 10 people died, 1,000 people were hospitalized in Bharatpur because drinking water got contaminated with fecal matter and people got infected. Straight. Right? Nobody knew what to do. People tried to throw all of them out and put it on the media. It's not going to work because there are huge livelihoods totally involved in that. It took them 13 years to replace the faulty infrastructure, and it was done only with the World Bank gave 8 years. We're not making the necessary investments into the area. It's not just this. I can go on and on and on with examples of every single piece, every single location where repair work, patch work, quilt work is absolutely critical to our survival. If we cannot do that, if we cannot make those investments, if we cannot do the necessary tweaking to our procurement policies, we will actually be causing huge amounts of invisible damage. Because very often what also happens in this, it may not actually result in deaths, but what it results in is consistent low-grade fever, which means that girls are not able to go to schools. Consistent urinary tract infections, which means that girls cannot go to college. Right? You have this kind of a problem in so many neighborhoods across this country. Monsoon aa gaya hai, you don't know where AU is going to hit. You don't know where, what other kind of impact. You don't have any kind of surveillance of any data of these kinds of things. Right? It's really, really important for us, and if we're thinking about empowering, we're thinking about digital technologies, to figure out how to track all of this data. Right? I'm currently working on a tank which is 200 years old. It used to be a most beautiful picnic spot even until mid 20th century. It served water, drinking water. And that tank now receives sewage from 53 buildings. 53 buildings. On its bank there are 3 STPs. But out of those 3 STPs, it is supposed to be dealing with something like 60 ml of sewage. Not even 20 is possible. It's all coming in directly coming to the thing. Right? You see droppers, ski birds. You see other worm-eating birds, which are very simple. You can sense it. You can sense that the kids playing around in that area are simply, they're falling simply. What do you? This unseen disease bird is huge nonsense. It throws households completely into the crisis every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 months. Right? And one illness, you just took them out of circulation. 2005, I remember when I was doing my field work here, I used to spend a lot of time in auto. I said that I am not going to use my motorcycle and I am not going to use my mobile phone. Because those 2 things will give me speed. And if I have speed, then I don't get to listen to other people. So I would actually take auto rickshaws, buses, I would not use the mobile phone, hang out with people and talk. And all of that is one thing that every auto rickshaw driver will do that, घर में कोई एक बीमार पड़ गया तो मेरे पास एक ही रास्ता है, ऑटो को यहाँ पे चला दूँ जाके उसे सारे और कोई रास्ता नहीं, every auto, right? One guy told me that कि ये सब बकवास कर रहे हैं, they don't know how to manage their own money, gamble करते हैं, बुरी आदतें हैं उनकी, और इसलिए ऐसा होता है, मुझे देखो, मैं ऑटो चलाता हूँ, मैं अपने घर को संभाल रहा हूँ, मेरी बीवी नौकरी करती है, we are perfectly fine. 3 months later, I ran into him again. He was heartbroken. I said, what happened? He said, my daughter fell sick. His daughter falls sick, 20,000 rupees down, straight, 20,000 rupees, and not being able to take the auto rickshaw out onto the street for 5 days, which then means that the financial is going to come and take the auto rickshaw and puts it in a garage and charges rent on it. Right? He charges extra money from you for actually taking away your auto rickshaw. You have to pay the fees for that. And then refinance it. This cycle in the urban is very real. Every household in slums deals with this kind of problems, right? And in the middle of that, obviously you're going to have problems of everybody falling sick. Mental health is suffering, suicide is very high. Where does all of this come from? It comes from the fact that we are not repairing things in time. And therefore I'm saying that repair has a very high priority in all kinds of ways, not just houses. But our institutions need repair. We need to think about repair and less about innovation. Innovation is great, but I think it's very often very overrated. We need actual maintenance and operations. If we can do that well, we'll be doing well. And I think that all of our focus can be on innovation, but give me 30% of your attention for repair. That we do.